It's 2 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you because you already know what happens if you pick it up. Your mind is racing through tomorrow's meeting or last week's argument or nothing at all. You feel broken, like your body is failing at the one thing it should know how to do naturally. But here's the strange part. If you had lived 12,000 years ago, tonight would not have felt broken at all. Tonight would have felt completely normal, because the way you sleep right now is not the way humans slept for most of history, not even close. Think about that for a second. You believe sleep is supposed to be one long, unbroken block. 8 hours, lights out, eyes closed, done. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you call it insomnia. You reach for melatonin. You Google, "Why can't I stay asleep?" You assume something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You're just doing what your ancestors did without realizing it. In the 1990s, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware ran an experiment that quietly rewrote what scientists thought they knew about sleep. He took a group of people and removed artificial light from their evenings entirely. No lamps, no screens, no electric bulbs, just darkness for 14 hours a night, the way it would have been before electricity existed. Within a few weeks, something unexpected happened. The subjects stopped sleeping in one long stretch. Instead, they slept for about 4 hours, woke up, stayed calmly awake for 1 to 3 hours in the middle of the night, and then fell into a second 4-hour sleep before morning. Vare called it segmented sleep, but it wasn't new. It was old, ancient even. Historians had already found traces of it hiding in plain sight. In Old English and French texts, there are casual references to first sleep and second sleep, as if everyone already understood what that meant. A person might write about waking between their first and second sleep to pray, to think, to talk quietly with a partner in the dark. Nobody explained the concept because nobody needed to. It was just how nights worked. So what were people doing during that strange gap between sleeps? Historian A. Roger Akirch, who spent over a decade studying this, found records describing that middle-of-the-night window as a kind of quiet second life. People used it to reflect, to have calm conversations, to process dreams while they were still fresh. Some prayed, some had sex, some simply lay in the dark, thinking, the way you do at 2 a.m. right now. Sound familiar? The difference is they weren't panicking about it. There was no glowing clock reminding them they were supposed to be asleep. There was no pressure to fall back under immediately. The waking itself wasn't the problem. It was just the middle of the night doing what the middle of the night does. Your ancestors' bodies were responding to something incredibly old. Before electric light, night wasn't a switch that turned off the world for 8 hours. It stretched for 12, sometimes 14 hours in winter. No human body evolved to lie motionless and unconscious for that entire span. So it didn't. It split the night into two halves, with a resting point in between, the same way your body naturally rests partway through a long hike instead of forcing itself through in one relentless push. Anthropologist Carol Worthman studied sleep patterns across modern hunter-gatherer societies, groups like the Hadza in Tanzania, to see if fragmented sleep still shows up when artificial light isn't dominating the environment. What she found was that these groups don't sleep in one clean block either. Their sleep is flexible, broken by watchfulness, shaped by firelight, temperature, and the rhythms of the group around them. Sleep, for most of human history, was never meant to be a solitary, sealed-off event. It was social, watchful, responsive. That watchfulness mattered. For a species without claws, without thick fur, without the speed to outrun a predator, unconsciousness was dangerous. A body that woke periodically through the night, that stayed lightly alert during part of it, was a body more likely to survive until morning. Segmented sleep wasn't a flaw to fix. It was a feature that kept your ancestors alive. Then came the 1800s. Gaslighting spread through cities. Later, the electric bulb arrived and changed everything permanently. Suddenly, night wasn't dark anymore. People stayed up later. Factory schedules demanded a single, efficient block of rest so workers could show up on time and function through long shifts. Sleep stopped being a private biological rhythm and started being a schedule, something to be compressed, optimized, and fit around production. Within a few generations, the very memory of first sleep and second sleep faded from ordinary conversation. By the 20th century, doctors and researchers had grown up entirely inside the one block model. So when PEO
Within a few generations, the very memory of first sleep and second sleep faded from ordinary conversation. By the 20th century, doctors and researchers had grown up entirely inside the one block model. So when people woke in the night, science didn't ask, is this normal? It asked, how do we fix this? And that's the model you inherited. Not from your biology, from your great-great-grandparents' factory shifts. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Ware's experiment wasn't describing some exotic ancient ritual. It was describing what your own body still knows how to do if you gave it the chance. Take away artificial light for long enough, and it doesn't collapse into worse sleep. It reorganizes itself back into the older pattern. 2 sleeps, 1 quiet hour of wakefulness in between, which means that 2 a.m. moment you dread, the one where your eyes open and your mind starts turning, it might not be insomnia at all. It might be your body attempting to run a very old, very reasonable program in a world that no longer expects it to. Of course, modern life doesn't make room for that program anymore. You have an alarm, a commute, a job that starts at a fixed hour whether your body is ready or not. So when segmented sleep shows up uninvited, it feels like malfunction, not memory. You reach for your phone. The blue light convinces your brain it's daytime. The anxiety about being awake keeps you awake longer than the waking itself ever would have. You've turned an ancient rhythm into a modern crisis, simply by refusing to believe it's allowed to happen. Ikirch's research even suggests something quietly beautiful about that in-between hour. Without pressure to fall back asleep immediately, people in the historical record described it as peaceful, almost meditative. A private hour nested inside the night, before smartphones, before clocks glowing red in the dark, before the modern demand that unconscious stillness must be constant and immediate. None of this means you need to abandon a full night's sleep or fight your alarm clock. Modern schedules are real, and most people don't have 14 hours of darkness to stretch out in anymore. But the next time you wake at 2 a.m. and your chest tightens with that familiar dread, it might help to remember this. You are not broken. You are not failing at rest. You're running a rhythm that kept humans alive for hundreds of thousands of years, one your ancestors would have recognized instantly, quietly waiting out the dark before their second sleep began. So tonight, when you wake in the middle of the night and the world is silent around you, try not to reach immediately for your phone. Try not to check the time and do the math on how many hours you have left. Just lie there, the way people once did for most of human history, in that strange, calm hour between 2 sleeps. Your ancestors weren't fighting the dark. They were simply living inside it, waiting for the second half of the night to begin.